Welcome to the ABCs of Horses, a Big Blend radio podcast featuring Christy Wood, a world champion horse trainer, a carded horse show judge, an equestrian expert, and an author. Welcome, everybody. Today, Christy is going to tackle the F word, foals. Aha, right, Christy? How are you doing,
right.
Christy?
I'm doing great, Lisa. How are you?
Doing good. We're doing the ABCs and we already are at F. Can you believe it? I mean,
Yeah.
time is flying. People are listening. We're having a good time, but foals and fillies. What's the difference between a foal and a filly?
Well, should we start? Just let's jump right in.
Yeah.
Foals is a word we use to identify a baby horse when we don't know its gender. So
Oh,
you'll see it. Yep. So you'll see a mother standing out there in a field with a baby horse by her. We say, "Oh, look at the beautiful foal." We don't know if it's a colt or a filly. So once we know its gender, if it's a male, then it's a colt. If it's a female, it's a filly. And then those names actually change, as the horses mature. And we then change the female horse from a filly to a mare at the age of 4.
I like that. Well, so that's okay.
And
so
then,
it is a little bit different than what I thought.
It depends on the perspective of how men look at this. But the little colts become stallions usually around 2 years of age.
Then men do not like to hear when the gelding word comes in.
Yeah, well,
right?
yeah. So every little male horse, as he matures, will develop obviously his testicles, which will produce the hormones, which produce the attitude to become a stallion. And so that can manifest a little earlier sometimes than 2. I've had a colt have mannerisms like a stallion at 3 months, so he was gelded very quickly. So it just depends on the hormone base, and we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the genders and what's a little more favorable.
Okay, and the genders, that's important because so you don't know, like, do you know when if you're breeding, right? And we need to talk about them. You said, if you're breeding your mare, why, in the notes you sent me saying, okay, Lisa, this is what we're talking about. So we've got to discuss that part, but just like humans, we can find out what the gender is, and now that's getting a whole different thing. So we won't go down that road.
Well,
we won't go there. We won't go there, but
we won't go there. But as we can see what our world's progressing to, they can actually sex chromosome embryos now for humans and for animals to determine if it's going to be a boy or a girl. And actually, I think they're able to change some chromosomes to make that change. So that's what kind of upsets the apple cart, honestly, if not letting nature decide.
Yeah, I think that gets wonky. I mean, that's like when we had Dolly the sheep and test tube babies and all that. That's
right.
That's getting wonky for me. Like, it does.
But let's go ahead and touch on this for a minute about breeding mares, and why we do this, and we'll touch on the new sort of medical advantage to knowing that sex. Now, we're not talking about an advantage of knowing the sex of your foal, but there are some wonderful mares that are out there in the performance arena. And I'm talking high dollar mares that are winning millions of dollars in cutting, in performance, in the higher echelon of the horse show industry. And they really don't have time to get bred, go through a pregnancy, deliver a baby, and be a mother, because these mares are earning a lot of money. They're very, very good at what they do. So they actually will flush an embryo, and then they look for a recep mare, which means another mare will be carrying her foal. They'll implant that fertilized egg into another mare, kind of like a surrogate mother for human beings, and carry that baby and actually produce a really wonderful baby with her, of course, genetics and the genetics of the stallion. And in that way, that mare can go out and continue to perform without having her life interrupted by becoming a mother.
Wow. This gets complex, right? I mean, but it's cool to hear, like, be aware of it. Like, so if you've decided you've got a mare and now you're going to, let her, have babies and reproduce, right? And have her babies and be a mommy. Like, how does it change, the owner's, the horse parent's life? I mean, you start to change what happens for the mare, and then should you be on hand? Do you have to have doctors? No.
There's so much.
Vets be Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much involved in this. So for the first question you really want to ask yourself is, yes, you have a really wonderful mare. Why do you want to breed her? And most of the answer usually is going to be because I really would like to have another one just like her.
Okay.
So that's your reasoning. If you have a good horse that's got good conformation, now you have to take all this into thought of good conformation. She's got a good disposition. She does what she does for me to the utmost 100% of either being a good performance horse, maybe a good trail horse. So here's an example. Good old Dollar, my wonderful horse I rode on the 1,300 miles on the Chief Joseph Trail Ride, never had a foal for me. As good as a trail horse that she is and all the things that she did in her performance life with me, I could never breed her because there'd be too much downtime. And physically, that would be too much for her to go on this 1,300-mile trail ride and carry a foal, 1 year or each year. And then, of course, you just can't do that. It's hard on her body at 3 months in her first trimester to go on a trail ride climbing up to 9,500-foot elevations. I'll have a risk of losing that foal. So Dollar I never reproduced, never had her have a foal because of that. But you got to look at the attributes of why you're breeding. And you need to take in consideration the health of that mare, possibly her bloodlines. You really should look at that. I mean, we're not just breeding horses that are not registered. We're talking about horses that are actually going to increase their value by producing champions if she's a champion herself. Now, not every horse, excuse me, has to be a champion, but I'm just trying to educate people to understand it might be easier to go out and buy a younger horse if you really want to train a baby than to wait, try to breed your mare if she's got some conformational flaws, maybe some personality flaws. And it's very costly. So, and there's also some risk. I mean, some mares can have some difficulty foaling as well. And so that's something that you need to know. You need to have an experienced person nearby, of course, a vet hopefully nearby. Excuse me, if something like this, you have a complication. And I've lived through several complications, but luckily enough, I'm experienced enough I was actually able to troubleshoot 5 of the 6 and get 5 live foals. The first one actually didn't make it. So there's just things you have to be aware of because you want to save the mare as well. And then again, when you're trying to breed, the idea of breeding 2 animals together is to actually increase the positive. So you have 2 excellent individuals, you want to get an excellent baby. So you have to also give it some thought of who you're going to breed to. There are people out there that are standing stallions that possibly aren't registered. They do it just strictly on color, or they do it for some other reason. You've got to look at what your investment's going to be. And obviously, if you breed 2 registered horses together, you will have some value for that foal as well, in case you want to turn around and sell it. And, but it's today also we have, not today, but actually for the last 20 years, we have, improved our selection process because of the advancement in DNA testing. So that means that we can, breed to a world champion that might be back east. So instead of sending out the mare back east and having her on the road for a week, and maybe she even has a baby by her side, and that's hard on the foal, and then go back to the stallion owner's ranch, you get the mare bred and make sure she's checked in full before you ship her home. That's another stress on that mare and possibly a baby by her side. You can now breed to a world champion because of the DNA. It keeps everybody honest to when we ship semen. So we can collect the stallion, let's say back east of Pennsylvania, have it shipped out to California. And because of the DNA, we know exactly that we have that correct stallion. And it makes things a lot easier in a choice of who you're breeding to. It really opens the door to breeding to the best that you can take advantage of. That's what I'm trying to say. Instead of just breeding to a man down the road who might have a stallion, oh, he's convenient and he's handy. Well, what kind of a horse is he? Does he have a good disposition? Has he produced some good foals that have gone on and done things? And again, I'm going to touch on the fact that there are some diseases in the horse world right now, and the horses need to be tested for that so that you don't pass that on. And that's going to be another whole topic, but there's certain things to look at. There's so many things to consider before you breed your mare.
Wow. So really think about it. Don't be flippant on this at all.
Yes. Yeah. Really.
Don't be flippant for the foal,
Right. Yep.
So that's good. And now what about the preparation for okay, you've done this and the foal met her boyfriend or her husband and then the baby's coming. Um, how do you get prepared with that? Because what about, do you have a vet on hand? I mean, do they have foal
No.
midwives? I
Yeah.
mean,
So there's different ways. I can answer your question. I can answer your question thoroughly for that. If you are not experienced enough yourself, you can actually send your mare to somewhere that's more local. There's even the stallion stations where they stand stallions will be willing to foal your mare for you. And they probably have a closed circuit TV inside their stalls, and they can help you with that. Just depends on how much money you want to spend. Obviously, if you want to be at home and do it yourself, there are some really great books that you can get your hands on. There's one called Mares, Foals, and Foaling that's been out, I think, for about 40 or 50 years. That is an excellent book. It's timeless, and it shows you all the scenarios of what can go wrong and what to do to prepare to have it go right and
yeah.
prepare to have it go right and have a kit ready and know what to do, know how to intervene and when not to intervene. And also make sure that I'm 45 minutes away from my veterinarian. So I need to have skill in knowing what to do to troubleshoot. I also have, how can I say that? I guess I could only say horse drugs nearby that I can actually help my horse during a time to possibly even delay or make her more comfortable until the vet arrives. So there's just certain things to think about in your preparation for this foal. But the book is excellent. And then, of course, pick the brain of anybody you know that have raised some foals successfully. Possibly they could be standing by. They'll help you put your foaling kit together to be ready to help your mare and possibly even be on call. I am that way with my clients and my students who breed horses.
When horses come, I mean, I've been there for the birth of horses and cattle and dogs and cats and a lot of different things. I think it's really important to have people that know what they're doing around you because there's you suddenly may think that you need to dig in there and help and you maybe shouldn't. And understanding how the baby comes out is important, just like a human baby. You don't want to, you don't want to just pull them. You can hurt the mare, but you can also hurt the horse's the baby's head. You could ruin the breeding. You could get them tangled. I mean, that could be messy if you don't know what you're doing and you start pulling the baby out. That's a no-no.
That's why that book is so
what
important.
I've already known.
The book, that book that I mentioned, Foals and Breeding and Mares, it's excellent. It shows you the picture of actually how the baby is developing inside the mother's womb. So you can see that as it goes on for every month.
Cool.
And also you need to take good care of your mare during her pregnancy. If you've been riding her on a regular basis, certainly continue to ride her, but I certainly wouldn't go out and do the Chief Joseph trail ride like I do, or do an endurance ride when she's in full-term pregnancy, or even her last trimester. Even in the first trimester, that first 3 months is critical. You want that baby to settle in that womb and latch onto that uterine wall and start growing. So if this mare is traumatized with heavy work, or trail rides, the care is very, very important. Give her a very comfortable place to live with shade and water and take good care of this mare. There's also a feed program that you need to start. You need to start building the calcium inside her body because that baby's going to tax all of her calcium. You need to feed a pregnant mare to feed her baby. So there's things to know about that. And then be ready to have a nice place that's safe and secure for that mare to foal and keep her foal with her.
Yeah, that's what's interesting to me about is getting to understand like, okay, the food's going to change up because she needs more nutrients. You got to think, if you kind of think of how humans have to be, it's the same kind of deal, right? Of having to be aware of everything.
Yes.
It's, the food's going to change and you don't just get in there and start pulling a baby out of someone either. I'm just saying, I've seen bad things happen. Yeah. It's not good.
I've corrected some bad things, and that's why you have to be skilled to know what you're doing. I've had a mare have difficulty in delivering a foal because one leg was turned back behind its head. So, and luckily I'm a small, petite person, and I'm able to get into the womb and into the uterus of that mare with my arms and fix that. I've had a head that's been turned back. I fixed that.
Oh,
There's just been a lot of
wow.
complications, and I've been able to save quite a few foals. So
That's well, that's cool that you're able to do that, and again, having the right people around and reading and being part of it.
yes.
And also, here's the other thing. People think they're ready for it. And then some people, the sight of blood, they're down. And that's something to think of,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
Not just because you're around horses every day doesn't mean you're not one of them. And maybe you
yeah.
don't know until it happens.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we've seen people just pass out.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds stupid, but,
Well, but there's also, you have to consider the placenta. Sometimes that placenta still stays inside the mare for, geez, almost up to maybe an hour. And that's something you have to monitor because
oh, yeah, yeah, that's true.
her contractions hopefully will push that out. You don't want to yank it out. That's how
No,
you're going to rip your mare's uterus and she'll bleed to death. So
no.
you just you have to know these little things about delivering that foal and helping that foal obviously a little bit in, making sure it
Oh,
stands up, making sure it nurses. There's
Oh, can we go back to
it's
the stand up? Because I remember that being something too. Like you don't, they'll be wobbly legged and could fall or whatever, but there
oh
was
they
always
will.
a thing about that, about if they just sit down. Isn't there a danger with that or something? I think even in wildlife, in animals, they want them up and going because you're prey at that point. If you're like,
Well, of
you're a
course.
baby deer, if you're
Right,
Bambi, you are a prey to
right.
just about anything. And
Well, luckily
normally,
yeah, but our
go ahead.
domestic horses don't have to worry about the lions and tigers and bears outside of the stall. We've obviously prevented that with domestic barns and stables and paddocks that we have. Obviously, you want a nice soft area for that mare to lie down and deliver if she has to do
And
that.
contained, right? Not
Right.
outside.
Well,
Kind of.
yeah. I mean, they can fall outside in a nice paddock, but make sure it's very soft with sand, or you have that bedded down as well, and it's secure. I mean, I have secure paddocks as well, but I also live in the foothills. So I've got deer, I've got bear that go through. I just saw a bear 2 days ago that goes through our backyard. I mean, if this is going to happen, I personally think you should have a larger area, possibly even the size of two box stalls together, so this mare feels comfortable and safe and secure, and so does that foal until it can get up on its legs and be able to move around with its mother.
Mm,
You know, so
so cute. They're so cute to see. Now, what about having people around there? Like you may want your kids to see and things like that as an educational thing,
it's
but maybe not the whole family, right?
no,
Like you don't want,
if everybody's
what do you
quiet and
think?
if everybody's quiet and they want to hang on the stall door and look through the walls of the stall or over the paddock railing, that's fine. That's not going to really disturb the mare unless somebody's running up and down and screaming and yelling and causing a distraction, or any kind of quick movement will alert her to possible danger. So you need to be quiet, obviously, around her at this time. You don't want to disturb her so much that she's panicking with all the people watching and making so much noise and having a big party outside her stall door that it alerts her that she needs to protect that foal, because then she's going to move differently. She's going to get into protective mode, and you need to keep her nice and quiet until that placenta completely expels from her body, and make sure she's quiet enough that she can stand there and allow that foal to nurse for the first time. So yes, you can have family members watching this, but just keep this into consideration. You've just, observed, the mysteries of life here, and give this mare and this foal a chance to bond, have it a nice quiet time, and allow them to start their lives together peacefully.
Aw, little babies. Do they have different food, like little foals and stuff, or are they mostly mommy at that time? And what about the nursing? Do you have to watch what happens for that?
Foals are going to nurse. So, and they're going to nurse for probably 3 or 4 months until they're weaned. But that mother's milk, that first nursing, the first milk that baby drinks is critical. That has all the colostrum. The very first milk that mare produces has all the antibodies that little foal is going to need in it for the rest of its life. It needs to nurse. So you should be trying to monitor that. You can assist a little bit if the foal falls down a little bit. Of course, it's going to be wobbly on its legs. You just want to support it, maybe even stand slightly behind it so that it can push up against its mother's side. Most mares are very good about even cocking their leg so that their bag, meaning the milk sac, gets more exposed so that foal can latch onto a nipple. The mare has two nipples, and either one's going to be fine, but that foal needs to nurse usually within 20 minutes to an hour after it's born to get those antibodies. That's very critical. And then you want to also look for its first bowel movement. because then you know that that milk is going through its system, that it has gotten the colostrum, and we know everything is working perfectly fine.
Yeah. So this is hands on deck. You can't just ignore them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I tell
You
you what,
better.
I know for millions of years, horses have delivered the foals out in the wild, out in the, out in the open, and they've survived. But I tell you what, I've got an investment here. I have my heart invested in the mare that I love so much. And I have the investment now of breeding her to a world champion stallion or a beautiful stallion that's going to enhance what she is and what he is. And it's an investment in love and in time and in money. And I'm not going to miss this. It's
Yeah,
something that,
exactly.
because if the what ifs, all of a sudden we have a little bit of an issue, you need to get on the phone right away and call your vet and, troubleshoot so that everything will be okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is a big deal. This is an extension of your family
Yes,
happening,
that's right.
basically, right?
Yes, right.
That's the reality of this. So get people so have a good supportive group of people you can call on.
Mm-hmm.
And even in your own personal life, just like if have a family member that, a child or someone who's going to have a child in your life, you just basically always let people know now a baby's on its way. So I may be, finicky on appointments, I might have to bail because of something, so it's good to let people know. So
Well, we
people
have
are
some.
aware if you don't show up.
Yeah, nature is really wonderful about giving us signs of when a mare's impending foaling. And of course, now that we breed today with either live cover or AI, which is artificial insemination, you're pretty much going to
Well,
know the day of conception within a range of, let's say, 5 days. And so we have a calendar. Even that book that I recommended, Mare's Foal and Foaling, has a really wonderful calendar in the back with a little circular needle that goes around, and you can actually pinpoint close to when your mare will foal. Now, in saying that, the most consistent thing about a brood mare or a mother to be is her inconsistency.
oh
so,
boy.
so you don't know. It's not going to exactly come on January 6th or February 6th, like it's like the little arrow in the back of the book says it will happen. But there are signs. There's physical signs of your mare's impending birth. It has to do with the muscles around her dock up there by her tail, her vulva, her genitals it's usually swell and get very enlarged. She'll be pushing some milk out from her milk sac, from her milk bag. And when that milk slightly comes out through the nipples, it dries on the outside. That's called waxing. So we can see waxing. And usually when you see waxing, you've got an impending foal delivery that's going to happen within about 12 hours. So
Wow.
you just start monitoring this and watching her attitude, and they get restless, just like a mother dog would be restless,
Hmm.
knowing she's going to deliver
You can
puppies.
tell. They
You
start to
can
look for
tell
where they're going.
they're going to
They start.
nurse. I mean,
Yep.
not nurse. They're going to build a nursery. They're going to
Yep.
nest. That's the word I was looking for. They're going to nest, and your mare does the same thing. She'll circle. She'll walk around. Actually, she'll start sweating profusely as well. There's just so many signs that you see restlessness in your mare that you know that it's going to be coming.
Oh, it's so exciting. A baby.
Now,
A baby.
I also have a closed circuit TV in my stall. So that monitor is wonderful because depending on the time of year it can be a little cold, obviously here in the winter, like February and March. And I've got a closed circuit TV with the monitor on the dresser right across from my bed. And trust me, I don't sleep very much, and I can sleep with one eye open. So I'm not disturbing that mare, but I've got a monitor on her the whole time. And then there's other things that you can buy. There's a monitor that you can actually put on the tail of your mare that kind of monitors some of the contractions that you might that senses what's happening with the mare internally. And it's called a foal alert. And there's just different things that can tell you when there might be a pending
Mm.
foaling time.
Oh, well, yeah. So there's technology now than what we
Yes,
didn't like when I was talking about foals and seeing the process and everything. This was back in the 80s, man. Things have changed. I mean,
yes,
and we were out
yes,
in the boonies.
right.
And so you really had to learn and know. And, we always had a vet on call, like a vet would be around, that kind of thing. So to me, I've always had vets
Well, most
that I
vet clinics
remember.
are on call. They'll have somebody monitoring the phones, after hours. So I think that's with every vet clinic today is, there's always one vet that's going to pull the duty for whatever
Hmm.
weekend or whatever day that is that you will have somebody nearby.
Oh, Cool. This is cool. And so again, just in closing with this, I want to go and reiterate the importance of why you're doing it. Um, because and if you're going to be keeping the baby, know that your bills are going to double.
Well, yes and no. I mean,
You know,
that foal needs some inoculations. They need shots. Usually at 3 months, you start the inoculations that they'll need yearly. Obviously, care and maintenance. We do paste worming. There'll be things to do, and then there's some
yeah,
general maintenance. Hopefully, your foal will be safe and be kept in a safe place. But no matter how safe you build your fences and have padding in your stall, a horse is still going to find a way to hurt itself. But that's
yeah.
just, but it's the joy of racing it. So if we've got time, we can just talk briefly on this is what you should be doing the first day or two with your new foal. This isn't just a horse you're going to observe for a long time and just see how it's going to grow up. You need to have hands-on. So this is what I do. Within 2 hours of that foal being born, that foal is being rubbed with a plastic tarp. I get my clippers out that I'm going to be using the rest of its life to clip its bridle path or the hair around its muzzle. I get the clippers out, turn them on, give him a nice little massage so he can hear the sound and feel the vibrations. Anything that you do to your foal within the first 2 hours, it's called imprinting, will stay with your horse the rest of his life. So if you touch them, when they're standing, you pick up their feet like you would for a farrier. Now's the time to pick that leg up, bend the knee, hold it for a few seconds, set it back down again. All 4 legs, even the back legs. So this is things that you're doing with your horse. You're rubbing this horse, you're massaging, even brushing it. It needs to be comfortable with everything that's going to, that you can do within that, your limitations the first 2 hours to get this horse desensitized. And even the human touch and the human sound of your voice. There's so much you can do. Now, my babies at 2 hours old have a halter on their face, a baby halter. So I put it on, they wear it for a couple of hours, I'll take it off. So just the feel of a halter around its ears, over its nose is you're just getting ahead of the game instead of waiting. All of a sudden you've got this wild horse, this wild baby at 2 years of age and no one's ever touched it. No one's ever run a clipper over its body or picked up its leg for a farrier. You're going to have, a horse now that's at 2, it's going to be 1,000 pounds. So why not train this horse when it's younger and you've got that little bit of an advantage to teaching it how wonderful it is to have the human touch and to learn the skills of the harmony of our partnership.
Do you train them together with the mom and the
mother's
the
right
foal?
there. Sure, the mother's standing right there. Yes.
And you have to, and the mom has to
dresses.
trust you, right? The mare has to trust you too, because animals are always, I don't care what animal we're talking about. Mama is always the mama, you know?
Right.
She will become a bear quickly if she doesn't trust you. So you have to bridge that gap, right?
Right. But that's also the disposition you look for. If you've got a mare that's a real, I guess I don't know how else to say it, a real witch, why would you want to breed that mare and pass that disposition on?
Yeah.
So you've got to consider that. You know your mare well enough. Yes, a baby's going to change a little bit of her thought process. She's going to be more defensive. But all of my horses trust me enough. I'm not a threat. So they know that when I'm working with that foal, that it's a good thing. It's not something that she has to defend. So that's a good disposition in a horse. I mean, a horse that's just the opposite of that. Why would you want to have a second horse like it?
Exactly. Well, now, I mean, you want to,
You have to observe that. Yeah.
So, and animals have their traits just like humans, I wanted to ask you this because I know this is going to be the stupid question, but there are no stupid questions,
Nope,
but this is my stupid question of the day.
Okay.
When is it time where you can start looking at riding a horse? Because I find that's also very important, is to understand horse and human weight and when and all of that. What are those steps where you start, okay, we're talking about them like being real babies. And then it's like, okay, we're doing some training, some bonding, some communication skills, right? But when is it that you start going, okay, and I know they say breaking the horse in and all of that. What's that timeline look like of when people should start looking at, okay, from here forth, we're going to do this towards those steps to be able to start riding. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's a great question, Lisa, and I'll try to.
Wasn't stupid.
It wasn't stupid at
I get
all.
a carrot. I got a carrot.
You get 2 carrots.
Cool.
So this is, and I'm generally speaking here because there are some differences in breeds and how they mature. The Arabian horse and the thoroughbred horse mature a little bit differently than, let's say, the quarter horse or the paints or the Appaloosas, just because of the structure and how they're put together. But generally speaking, we have a foal that's now 3 months, 4 months of age. We can go ahead and wean that foal. Weaning meaning just completely eliminating nursing with the mother, because now we've made that transition. As from the day it's born to about 4 months of age, it learns to eat the hay the mother's eating. We have certain feeds and grains that we can feed foals for growth. And that's something else you have to be careful of. You don't want to over push your baby in growth, because then you can really blow their legs out. And when I say that, you can actually push their body to growing too fast. And there's a lot of complications that can come from that. So that's something else that needs to be monitored. But at 3 or 4 months, you wean this foal. You can start handling this foal a little more. And actually, I do even before. If the mother's a broke mare that you can ride, even at 2 months of age, I am teaching that baby to come along and do things with the mother, and it's called ponying. And I will lead that baby. You've seen ponying at a racetrack when the horses at the track go to the starting gate. They're being led by another horse. That's called ponying. It's a pony horse that literally leads another horse into doing other exercises, I guess is what's the best way to say this. Mm-hmm. So as a weanling, or it's even a suckling, when the foal is still nursing with its mother, I take my foal into the arena, teach them how to go around at a walk, maybe a trot, a stop, and turn. And all this is on a lead. So I have a lead on the foal, but it's learning to come along with mother and do things. I actually take my sucklings out on a little trail course I have out in the back of my property and teach it to walk over logs and see trees and see a flag blowing in the wind and things like that. So once they're weaned at 4 months, then you can enhance that a little bit more to maybe take them down the road, maybe take them across a stream, take them up in the mountains a little bit, educate your horse, expose your horse to everything that they're going to see in their lifetime. But so then we skip from, and you can even teach them how to lunge and walk on a hot walker. There's different things that you can do. Go in and out of a horse trailer. This is a great opportunity to teach your horse how to trailer. When they're a suckling, you load the mother and the baby will go right in behind her. And they get a treat inside and and then they come out. So you do that when they're still attached to their mother in a sense of being a suckling, but the weanling will still remember its mother. It's just that she's not nursing anymore. So then between a weanling and a yearling, again, educate this horse by ponying it everywhere you can, trailer it to another location and go pony your horse at another location. You can even go to a horse show and sit on the sidelines and watch that baby, have that baby watch all the activity. Just expose your horse to everything that's possibly available to you. So
then they don't have those fears.
Right. Yeah. You want to desensitize your horse. It's just the more they see, the more they're going to understand and the calmer they will be. And the more acceptance they will have of all these different elements that they'll be exposed to.
And so that means you won't fall off your horse as much.
Hopefully not.
Well.
So at the age of 2, we say generally you can break a 2-year-old. Breaking meaning let's put a saddle on. Actually, I will lunge a yearling with a child's saddle on, just to let them get comfortable with the feel of the saddle and a girth or a bareback pad. I mean, I'm just exposing my horse constantly. And actually, I'll step back a little bit. On my yearlings, I've taken my yearlings into the river and get them comfortable, obviously, with water. But I can float and sit up on their backs in the river because I'm buoyant. Now, I don't weigh a lot anyway. I'm only about 100 pounds. But I can sit on their back and pet them and let them feel the pressure of me sitting on their back because I'm buoyant. That means that baby is in the water all the way up to about its chest and even deeper. And the river is tranquil, it's calming, it's soothing, it's refreshing. And I'm petting it and I'm swimming up and sitting on its back. So I actually read something a long time ago. That's what the Native Americans did to break their horses.
Wow.
Because a horse can't buck in the water.
Right.
if he's that deep in the water.
Well, our horses, if we took them to the beach, always wanted to roll.
Yeah.
They got get into the way and you're like, that was some training of, you better not be on their back when they want to roll, because when they start to go down, they're going.
Right.
And they loved it though. I mean, it was so, it was nice to see them happy in the water and be cool and all of that.
Yeah, so when we talk about breaking, yes, the Old West, people see cowboys out throwing a saddle on a wild Mustang for the very first time, and that horse is going to buck because that's he's in survival mode. What the heck is this on my back? Which normally really would interpret a mountain lion. If you're thinking about the scenario, he's out there in the wild, a mountain lion jumps on his back, and that's what's going to take him down. So now a human is throwing a saddle on his back and his weight, and that's what the cowboys used to do. They would ride these horses until they stopped bucking. We don't do that anymore. There's so much more that you can do for communicating with a horse if you've got patience and have the knowledge to do this and to get them exposed slowly and gradually to what their life is going to be a broke horse, which means being ridden and going out and enjoying the trails together. So actually, I gradually break my horses when they're long yearlings, meaning they're coming 2-year-olds around the fall. I can actually sit on my horse in the arena because he's been comfortable with my back. He's been comfortable with the saddle. Now, I don't ask him to do much more except maybe walk around. And then as they're become 2-year-olds, then you can increase the momentum of riding to maybe a walk or a trot. You really shouldn't, jump on this horse and expect this horse to carry you up that mountain, or down that trail or ford that stream just yet. You really need to have a good foundation, and that classroom foundation needs to be done in an arena. You need to teach that horse how to stop and how to turn and how to do all the maneuvers that you want to do, to work a gait, to work cattle if that's what you're going to do, to be comfortable around obstacles. And then if you're ready to go out, really the best scenario would be to ride out with the older horse, possibly even its mother. Have somebody else go out with you on a solid trail horse that will be an excellent example for this young horse to follow going down the trail.
That is good. That is good, because then they have to learn, especially if it's someone new, a new horse, right? They have to learn that kind of communication too, is being around other horses they don't know. Or is it better to have someone?
No, they need to go out with a horse. Hopefully they go out with a horse that they know. Hopefully it's the mother.
That's that better.
If it's not, then yes, if you have another horse around, if they have another gelding or something that you ride, that's fine. It really should be a horse that they trust for the first couple of rides, because that's the example. They're looking to that horse for trust and for guidance and for safety and for security. So hopefully it's a horse they know. Hopefully, again, it will be the mother. If it's not, young horses older horses will sense this is a young horse and actually go into protective mode and make sure that this young horse will follow. Of course, the rider is going to help dictate that as well, but then they'll develop a partnership. But horses mature a little differently. And so what happens as a 2-year-old, yes, you can ride them. You need to be careful how much you do. Again, you don't want to overtrain these horses because their bodies aren't fully developed yet until they're 4. They grow until they're 4. Their knees don't close, and the bones in their knees close at the age of 4.
Okay.
So once that happens, and that's why, like even on the Chief Joseph Trail Ride, the limit is your horse has to be at least 4 years of age before it can come, because that is a very strenuous ride. And a horse's body is not prepared physically for that until they're 4. All right. So just keep that in mind. I mean, we do show our young horses or our 2-year-old classes with some limitations. There's 3-year-old classes, and you just do things in moderation. You monitor how your horse is moving and, be careful not to do really hard stops and turns and go climb mountains at 45-degree angles yet until these horses have developed a little bit more. So the question is, I'm going to say, I know you're going to think about what do you do about race horses, and I'm not in the racehorse industry, but honestly, when they race these young horses at 2 and 3, their bodies are being taxed. They're not fully developed, so that's why you see a lot of horses break down. And that industry is just a little different. They've got a huge investment in horses, and I think they want to get a quick recovery. And again, I'm not in that industry 100%, but that's, I think, why some of these horses break down is they're just not, their bodies aren't physically ready.
Yeah, you have to take things gently, just like a baby, like the bones of a baby are being formed. You don't.
Yeah, or the skull of a human being. I mean, that doesn't close the top of the head, from what I understand.
watch how people pick up puppies from their front legs. It drives me bonkers.
Yeah,
because it is actually a weight on their heart. You don't pick up a dog from the front paws.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you doing? If I lose it, because it's number one, their limbs can't do it. And it does put a strain on their heart. And so, yeah, it's important to take that time, but I think it's also, just like we talked about before, common sense, communication. This is a good time to have that communication, like you're saying, to get to know each other. And it's just a really good you can train from the beginning early, that is so much better, because you know what happens even with rescue animals, that you are always cleaning up someone else's mess with that. It's important to rescue animals, but
well, there's 2 years of a horse's life that people don't realize. Those first 2 years, there's so much you can
they're
do with a horse.
formative.
Right, and on the ground, there's so much that you can teach them. My horses, Lisa, are broke before I get on their backs. I mean, I just spend every day with them, and they learn the pressure points. They learn how to move off my hands on the ground for the pressure points. And the pressure points are going to be the same pressure points I use with my seat and my legs when I ride them. So my horses are already broke by the time I start asking them to move forward and carry me. There's just so much you can teach a young horse. So you've got to be prepared to do that as well. Now, some people aren't going to be skilled enough to, and obviously you need to find a good trainer to send your horse to, but there's a lot of preparation that you can do to get your horse ready to even go to a trainer.
Exactly. That's really true.
You're just missing the boat if you don't handle that horse until it's 2. You really are. And personally, and again, I'm a small person. I need that advantage of skill and knowledge to communicate with my horse, because once that horse turns 2 and it's 1,200 pounds, I'm going to have a heck of a time trying to teach it the things I could have taught it when it was 3 months old. I just physically, I'm going to have to apply a little more pressure, and that's a little difficult for me. I'm not big enough. So why even deal with that? It's just teach them when they're babies. It's so much fun to have.
And it is, you're playing with a baby, and they're so cute, and I love the way they frolic.
And you're educating. You're going to have a wonderful, you're investing in this horse's life in the future and what it's going to do. So show it everything, expose it to everything. My arenas are even actually on a road. So my horses are used to traffic going by. I mean, I never shield them from anything. I actually want to expose them to things, but in moderation and with kindness.
Bit by bit. So it becomes norm, and so they don't bolt and spook easy, Yes. I mean, my horse was like that on everything, but she was abused, and she was a rescue, and we weren't doing it to compete. We were just being the rescuers, and I mean, if a yellow bag went flying by, that's it, man, she's off, and so we had to, but then what we did was we took yellow bags, plastic bags, grocery stores, because it was Checkers supermarket over there. And we would take them and just be slow. They're not whipping around in the breeze, and let her look at one and then go, here's a carrot, and then let her smell it and then slowly move it around. But it was like a long process. Everything we did was a really long process of communication, step by step, like you're saying, because if I just went out and said, okay, here's a bag, and then I flicked it around, I'm just going to scare her, and then she's going to lose her trust in me. So Lisa, did it like little bit by bit.
Yeah. Remember what we said at the beginning of the podcast. What I do within the first 2 hours, I'm rubbing that foal with a plastic tarp. You go get that plastic grocery bag. You go get whatever it is. You rub that baby with that sound and that feel. In that first 2 hours of imprinting that baby is going to help you when that yellow bag goes blowing by. Yeah,
exactly.
Now, one other thing I want to mention real quick that we didn't mention about things you could do with your horse. I just want to make sure I include also expose your horse to taking a bath. So horses, if they're not around water all the time, just trickle the water on their legs, make it nice and soothing. Matter of fact, if I wash racket, my horse is real spoiled. They've got hot and cold running water, so I can mix it to make it warm. And wash their manes and tails, and just expose them again to the fact that a bath is a good thing.
That's funny.
You don't want to try to get that 1,200-pound horse in a wash rack and all of a sudden turn the hose on. The horse is going to freak. They're going to, what is that? So when they're young and little foals, you expose them to a spray hose and shampoo and rinsing and massage, and just, a bath is going to be a wonderful experience.
That's cool, man. And let them have fun. They like water, but you have to, you have to do all that step by step. Yeah. Right. Let them have fun with it. Very cool. Well, I'm excited about this podcast. This is a good episode.
This was fun.
Talking about babies. Yeah. I want to go play with a foal and a filly and a colt right now.
Very good. There you go.
I do. Well, thanks so much, Christy. We can't wait for next time. And next time, Christy will be talking to us about her epic Chief Joseph trail ride, where she goes, it's a 13-year progressive trail ride following in the footsteps of Chief Joseph and the Nez Perce tribe. So we'll be doing that on the next episode, taking a little break from the alphabet soup here. But it's a special time of year. Every year she does this, and she's on her second one. And that's what your book is about, right?
Second rotation. Yes. The book Hoofprints Across Time, A Trail Ride to Remember, is about completing the 1,300-mile trail ride. And so now I'm on my second rotation. Again, I'm doing it for a second time. And I'm on year 5 of this year of that rotation. Cool. Again, doing that. And by the way, folks, I would love to hear from you. Please send me emails. Let's talk about the podcast, what you like about it, what you'd like to hear us talk about. Please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from everyone.
Awesome. And everyone, the links to Christy, so you can contact her through her website, is in the episode notes. No matter where you're listening, Spotify, Apple, wherever, you'll see the link there as well. So thanks so much, Christy. Always fun, and enjoy the trail ride.
Thank you, Lisa, and happy trails, everybody.
Giddy up. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's ABCs of Horses featuring Christy Wood. You can keep up with Christy and learn more about her services and her books by going to her website, wdnhorse.com. Keep up with Big Blend Radio at bigblendradio.com.